Did you have fun at 42nd Street?
I did. I mean, I love musical theater. It's my first love, so it was really nice to be able to go to opening night.
That's cool. And here you are. I didn't realize you would be hosting this event tonight.
See, I'm all over.
And tell me about why Lambda Legal is important to you.
Lambda Legal is really important because this organization makes sure that we have equality across to everyone, and I think that that's a really important thing. And there's just so many inspiring people in this room, and I'm happy to be an ambassador for the organization and to be here for this amazing West Coast Liberty Awards tonight.
Do you think things are better than they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
By far, absolutely. I think we've grown so much, and Lambda's had a great part in that with marriage equality and all of that. So I think we'll see. Hopefully one day, we can reach a place where we have full, true equality.
Well, my name is Peyton McGarry. I'm one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit against HB2 in North Carolina. So,
and tell me about the lawsuit. What's going on there?
So the lawsuit was essentially put into effect, and it limits. It tells me that I have to use the female restroom because I was born female, even though I identify and I present myself as male because I'm a male.
And so this is going to be like this will be a groundbreaking case, really.
I really hope so. I really hope that it will open up civil rights for trans people and LGBT people as a whole and just make this final push to the end.
It seems like it's such a personal thing, that you have to, that there would be it takes a lot of courage to stand up, especially, I don't know, something about the bathrooms and sexuality. It's just like, it's a very personal thing to stand up and speak up for yourself around that.
I completely agree. I think that any matter mentioning someone's sexuality or someone's gender identity or sexual identity is such a personal matter that it shouldn't be a problem, but it is, and somebody has to do it. And I'm excited that I have the opportunity where I am in my life to stand up for the people who may not necessarily be able to at this point in their life.
Have you had any backlash from this?
Of course. North Carolina has always been a swing state. I've had an overwhelming amount of support, but there's always a few people who disagree. We're moving forward here, and there are always people who. It takes time to change a culture.
And I think it says more about the people that are creating these horror stories. It says more about the people that are telling those stories than about reality.
Oh yeah, because the reality is that in the 200 cities and 17 states that have ordinances similar to Charlotte's, which sparked all of this, there are no situations, there are no ups in sex crimes related to this. This isn't reality, so we're creating this false reality, and you're exactly right. It says a lot more about them than it does about the trans community.
Well, we're celebrating the last year of Lambda's work on behalf of the LGBT community and on behalf of people living with HIV. It's been a really dramatic and exciting year. It was less than a year ago now that we won marriage equality across the entire nation. And we're soon, the end of the month, to be celebrating our first anniversary of that. So that's a celebration. There's lots of other cases that I'm going to be talking about in my speech tonight about that we have won. Important things like getting the Social Security Administration and the VA to stop declining to provide spousal death benefits and other spousal benefits to surviving spouses who live in states that were not recognizing the marriages they entered in other states. So they're no longer doing that anymore, and lots of people are getting now back payments that had been they'd been wrongly denied before. We have, we work on a lot of different issues, but this year, if last year was like getting to marriage equality, this year there's been incredible focus on transgender rights that's really well overdue, and we are representing a a transgender woman in prison in Texas who was repeatedly assaulted. And this year we managed to get her moved into safekeeping, into an area where she would no longer be exposed to the repeated assaults that she had been subjected to in prison.
She was in a male prison.
In a male prison, and was repeatedly both sexually assaulted, forced into sexual activity under threat of further violence, and then just physically assaulted. Period. And she repeatedly asked that there is, for people in prison, in the Texas prison system who are have a history of violence being committed against them, there is a place they can be moved that's safer, where there aren't gang members and when there aren't people who've repeatedly engaged in violence in the prison system. And she repeatedly asked that and was turned down. And we filed suit and got them to finally move her. And that's a little victory, but for one person. But it is on the road toward really trying to force states to live up to the what's called the Prison Rape Elimination Act. So that's an important issue. We have been working really hard on behalf of LGBT students in trying to get school districts to adopt good policies and not get rid of the policies they had before. And of course, the big case we're working on right now is a challenge to North Carolina's HB2. And tonight, one of our clients in that case is here and is going to speak.
You just look gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell me about why you're here tonight.
Well, I'm co-hosting the West Coast Liberty Awards because Lambda Legal means a lot to me. I know that our LGBT community really can't get anywhere without the legislation behind it, without people fighting on the other side. I'm so used to, and we're also used to seeing people on camera, people, doing PSAs, talking about, stay with us, be our ally. But what a lot of people didn't realize is that it's just important that we have people that are trying to change the legislation. I mean, in 32 states right now, there's no protection for LGBT people in 32 states. So
it seems really archaic, doesn't it?
It's completely archaic. It doesn't make sense because, we're not asking people to convert. We're asking people for the same rights that they have. And so it just seems obvious, but, Rome wasn't built in a day.
And it's also, I think, because it involves not gender and sexuality and all those things that it's people have a lot of shame around that, and so they want it to just go away. They don't want to talk about it.
Right, and which is fine if they don't want to talk about it, but you can't deny rights to people because you don't want to talk about something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right, and so that's why Lambda is so important, because we have to do that.
This is a wonderful organization that, I think that the gay community is very happy and proud to have. It's always nice to know you have people that have got your back. And in the LGBT community, and, there's so many issues that arise that you may not really think about, and you may not have the privilege or the resources to be able to get the people that you need to help. So it's nice to know that there are people that are working and that are on your side and being your advocates.
And it's really an example of the power of people coming together, the things that have been accomplished in the last 20 years, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I graduated high school in 1999, and it was just when Will and Grace came on. So before Will and Grace, it was not even talked about. But by the time I came out 2 years later, everybody wanted to be my Grace. And still, from then to now, it's like a whole different world. And I hope that, kids today, especially those that are not in progressive cities, realize that just do a Google search and look what's in your community, look who's there. Organizations like this that are there to help them, to make them feel not alone, feel isolated, to help them if they're in bad situations, to help their family help them. I mean, there's so much out there and so many people that care, and it's a wonderful thing, and it makes me very happy. And as a gay man, I mean, I just got legally married 2 years ago, even though I was with my partner for 10 years. So I never thought that would happen, and it's wonderful. We're doing good. We got a long way to go.
Well, of course, I'm here to support Lambda Legal and the awards. I actually was just telling someone that there used to be a Lambda association at Wright State University, where I attended, and I used to belong to the group there, which was about, of course, basically being a gay-straight alliance, bringing equality to gay, straight students, and that's really what they do, and that's why I'm here. So it's something I've been involved with for a long time, since college, and it's something that I continue to support to this day. So, for myself, as a blogger and someone who does podcasts, I keep an eye obviously on Hollywood and everything that's going on. And that's one of the biggest topics that's out there today, whether it's gay marriage, whether it's transgender bathroom use, whether it's, any of these various topics. That's still what, is really big news today. So
I am here because I am a big supporter, advocate, fan, friend of all the stuff that Lambda Legal tries to do and has been doing for many, many years. I am an out queer person myself in Hollywood, and there's probably a small number of us, and I feel like the more visibility that we have and the more that we're supporting these organizations that are working really hard for the rights of people that are in our community, the better it is for everybody. And I was just telling someone just now, I don't think that being out is for everybody, and I am not, the person to pressure and say, well, you need to come out because the community needs you. I think at some point what people's sexuality will be in Hollywood will not matter. I don't know if I'll be alive to see that, but at some point it will just not be, a big part of who that person is to the public, aside from their talents or their intellect or, what it is that they're offering the world. So I'm hoping that more organizations like Lambda Legal are able to work with the community and just normalize our experiences in the world to people that are outside of our community.
It's gotten a lot better in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I feel like it's weird for me to say that because I'm on the younger side. There are people who have been in this business for decades and decades and have had such a different experience. And honestly, I've had a really great experience. I was out as soon as I was getting work before I had been getting work, and it seemed like an easy transition for me, but I understand that that's only because there have been so many people fighting for so long to give us visibility and to make sure that we have power and a voice. And so I feel like I'm just kind of like trailing behind their footsteps and reaping the benefits of all the work that they've already done.
Well, I've worked in the theater for the past 40 years and have been around an awful lot of diverse people in many different ways. And one of the things that we do in the theater that I think we do well is we tell everybody's story to find what is unique and different. But more importantly, when we put a community in the room and tell those stories, we find the commonality. What I think is important with Lambda Legal is that they recognize that for whatever steps forward we've taken in terms of rights, support, and acceptance, the fight is not over yet, and there is a lot more ahead of us. I think the greatest gift that any of us will get is the day that Lambda Legal closes its doors because it's no longer necessary.
I'm here because Nadine asked me to host the event many months ago, and I think in Hollywood when you give your word, you keep your word. My dad said your word is like signing a check.
And why? And do you have any particular?
Lambda Legal. They're fighting for everybody's rights, for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. Everybody deserves the exact same rights.
You had a couple like Trevor Project and those kind. Have you ever been to those events? Like the Trevor.
Oh my God, yes, with my best date, my twin brother. I'm Lawrence and I are always plus ones. I have been to the Trevor Project. I'm a big supporter of itgetsbetter.org as well.
Tell me about being here for Lambda Legal.
Okay, the fact that it was established in 1973, and it was the first strong voice that covers gay, bisexual, transgender civilly, and stands behind the cause and just says, listen, we're fighting for you. And here's my thing, is why are we fighting to love who we love and be who we are? That's the horrible thing about where we are in this world, that we have to fight for who we are. There's two things that are a fact. We were born, and then we die. What we do in the middle, how great that we can make a change and do something spectacular. So that's why I'm here, to change the voice of what this to change the voice of North Carolina, to change the voice of everyone that feels that we have to apologize for who we are. That's why I'm here. You know, a great conversation that I just had is, you know, in the Bible it says, you know, God says, you know, love your brother in my image. Well, he didn't really tell us what that image was. The image is to love one another, period. I believe that we created this democracy to have a conversation that tears apart everything about human nature and human beings. We're human beings and we love, period.
Other than being an actress, I'm a board-certified life coach, and I coach a lot of the LGBT community and a lot of young teens that are faced with bullying, and I am such a proponent to stand for a cause that is so important, and Lambda Legal is amazing. We've been tweeting all day, and I think that more people in Hollywood need to step up. My motto is be you and be fearless, and I think that that's what we need to teach the young people today, is to be yourself, be who you are, love yourself, own it, rock it, and that's what this is about taking a stand for a cause that is so important and that I believe in.
I'm here to present an award to Michael Ritchie, who is the artistic director of Center Theater Group, where I've worked twice. I worked in 2010 doing a musical called Leap of Faith, and then I worked there last summer doing a production of Bent, which is the story of a homosexual man that was taken captive in Nazi Germany for being gay. And it's his story of his journey through the concentration camps. It's a horrific but enlightening and educational story of the Pink Triangle, which many people don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, theater. I was talking about that with the honoree Michael Ritchie. Theater is the place where you can find out what other people's lives are like and have a shared experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a visceral experience to go and watch somebody live it right in front of your eyes, and you could feel the audience watching these horrors and just being so taken aback. And it's really shocking to think that this wasn't that long ago. This was 70 years ago, you know, like one lifetime. 70, 80 years ago, it's 40s. My mental math isn't that good. But just how far we've come, but also how not that far away from it we are. We could fall back into this, you know. When Hitler was rising to power, the educated Germans, you know, they asked a lot of them, how did you let this happen? You know better. And they thought, well, we just thought he was a crazy fanatic, and we didn't think that he would ever come to the power that we have. It reminds me of a situation that we're in right now. You know, we have a very fanatical, egomaniacal person of really questionable integrity. And we need to take action. I think it's more important now than ever to present material like this, to wake people up and shock them into action, take a stand in their daily lives to do what's right.
I'm here to support Lambda Legal. They're an amazing organization. Right now, there's a lot in the news, as I'm sure you're aware of, around trans rights, and it's all being taken to the courts, and we have people like Lambda Legal to thank for that, to represent trans people.
I know. I was talking with someone, a podcaster who came down the red carpet, and he was saying, you know, he just said, and it's, you know, transgender bathroom use, and we laughed because what an absurd thing to have to go to court over. I mean,
it really is absurd, you know, and unfortunately, that's the battleground right now. Even for the gay community, it was never really about gay marriage; it was about equality, and that's what this isn't really about. The bathroom, it's about equality.
I'm just here to support Lambda Legal. Is a great organization that I feel like right now we need supportive organizations like this during this time. We're in crisis as a community, and so I think it's so important that they're here and their services are here for us.
You know, Lambda Legal is pioneering a movement. They are getting their hands dirty. And they are taking such incredible action to move the needle for the gay community. I'm just proud to be standing with them and happy to be here for anything that they need. It's astounding that there are still so many issues that have to not only be addressed, but removed from our society. And Lambda Legal, and just Lambda in general, throughout their different creative efforts, are doing everything in their power to raise the consciousness of the world. And people are people, and we love who we love.
Well, we're just to support the efforts of Lambda Legal. We're a lot has been accomplished in the last 20 years, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. And we tend to forget sometimes we live in idyllic California, and things are easier here, but they're not as easy everywhere else. And so we have to do what we can do to help the everywhere else's become easy. There was a march down Wilshire Boulevard when Reagan was president. I don't remember what year it was, but in the 80s. And we met at the Federal Building. We were marching with our friends to demand more attention to be paid to HIV and the AIDS crisis. And I remember vividly talking to a friend going, whatever happens with this thing, because it was still uncertain what it was going to be, our community is going to be more empowered than it ever was before because we're fighting for our lives. And the takeaway from all that, is tragedy. Is tragedy in people's lives, and I'm not diminishing that at all. But the takeaway from that was people became empowered, and the community became organized, and things that we have today, as far as rights and freedoms, I'm convinced, were connected to those organizing efforts back then. And so out of a lemon came lemonade.
Yeah. But that says a lot about the community that organized.
Right.
Because some people would have been completely defeated.
Right.
And instead you're like, oh no, I'm not doing this.
Right.
We want rights. We want to see our husbands and wives if we are sick, that kind of thing. And
it was
amazing.
What's happened since then, has been amazing. I remember coming out a long time ago, and not being able to tell people, and not being able to...
Not living truthfully.
Yeah,
your true self.
And never believing it was possible. And so, what Lambda's doing and other organizations like this are doing are just reminding us that it's not done.
Lambda Legal is extremely important because even though gay people, we have progressed tremendously, and the problem is that society in general thinks that we've completely progressed and that it's evolved and our fight is over, but it's nowhere near over. And I think people think that because of our amazing equality win for marriage, that the civil rights movement for gay people is complete. I do not think that is the case. There are, tons of anti-gay legislature that's in many states right now that all needs to be fought. It's not easy being gay.
And are you interested in Lambda Legal? Why does it? Yeah.
Yes. So this is actually quite new for me. I basically received the invitation and thought, oh wow, this is incredible, and then started doing some research on what this is and how I can help and contribute. And as I'm sure a lot of people, both here tonight, but also who aren't here tonight, it's just a platform for making even more progress than we've already made. Yeah.
So you're going to be here learning quite a bit tonight.
I hope so. I'd like to think, my support is endless and always has been. But learning about a company that has actually put things into change, for me, it's a privilege to be here supporting it.